Well, Square Enix's financial woes continue. In a notification of recognition of extraordinary losses, link in the description down below, to quote, the company expects to recognize approximately 22.1 billion yen in content abandonment losses on its books for the fiscal year ended March 2024, which for those who don't know comes out to about $140 million US. Square Enix contextualized this by saying, in light of the myriad changes underway in the environment surrounding its group, to revise the group's approach to the development of high-definition HD games with the intention of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. Basically what is happening, Square Enix canceled a bunch of projects and is just absorbing the loss. This also comes right on the back of the Nier gacha mobile game, Nier Reincarnation, ending its service. This raises quite a few questions, but I also think points to interesting future direction for Square Enix. I think for the longest time, at least for the last few years, Square Enix has had this weird obsession with releasing a bunch of these smaller RPG projects. Stuff like Star Ocean, or Tactics Ogre, or Triangle Strategy, stuff like that. They would just kind of throw out a bunch of these RPG games that would come out and nothing much would be said about them. The people that play those games enjoyed them well enough, but they never really did leave much of an impact, at least in my experience. And from the sounds of it, this is the type of game that Square Enix is going to move away from in the future in service of focusing in on these larger projects. Now with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the rearview mirror, we are looking forward to the part 3 of the 7 remake trilogy that is likely to come out in 2027 for the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, give or take a year I guess. We have to wait and see. But in the near future, there's kind of 3 bigger titles, mainly 2, but I'll throw in Visions of Mana as well, for Square Enix. Visions of Mana, which I just said, but also Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dragon Quest 12. Now, I love Dragon Quest XI, but Dragon Quest in comparison to Final Fantasy never managed to capture that public eye outside of Japan like Final Fantasy managed to. 11 got closer than the series had before, but from everything we've heard and just been waiting on in terms of Dragon Quest XII since it was announced years ago, it seems as if the game has gone through development hell. So the game's a giant toss-up and a question mark. At this point, as far as I'm concerned, we have not even seen a gameplay trailer in regards to the game. But I imagine Square Enix, at this point, will be all in on Kingdom Hearts 4. They want success. They want a game they can point to and say, this game was a massive success for us. Now, if you've been around town for a while and for a few years at this point, you'll be no stranger to the concept of a lot of these big game publishers and developers putting unrealistic expectations on a lot of these games, and then eventually coming around to say that the game was disappointing in terms of the sales that it actually produced, when in fact it managed to sell multiple millions of copies. I think Square Enix on the whole is able and capable still of putting out amazing games and putting out, quite frankly, amazing experiences. It's just that they don't put these games in a position to do well, or they give them so many unrealistic expectations that there's no likely chance of them ever living up to that hype. Or not even a hype, those unrealistic expectations. You can't imagine every game that comes out from your studio is going to have the popularity and the hype train that Final Fantasy XV had when it first came out. That's wildly unrealistic, and just not representative of the times, or the current state of a lot of these franchises, that have taken so many detours and changes in terms of their overall identity that they now are trying to find a new audience. At least in some cases. I'm a massive Xenoblade Chronicles fan, and you may be asking how the hell is that relevant here, Jmulls? Well, Xenoblade stems from both the Xenosaga and Xenogears series of old. Not in terms of canonicity, except for Xenosaga there, but Xenogears is kind of the game that started it all, thematically. But funnily enough, Xenogears is an IP, to my knowledge, owned by Square Enix. And with Xenoblade Chronicles doing better than it ever has before in recent years with Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3's breakout successes, there was a hope that we would see something happen with Xenogears from the PlayStation 1, and that the success of modern-day Xenoblade would turn the eyes of Square Enix and say, maybe we should try something with this old IP we have lying around considering they've been doing that for a lot of their other older IP. And I've been an advocate that, yeah, with Square Enix's at least previous direction, that made sense. They kept going back into the back catalog of games, even from the PS1, looking for new titles, or older titles, sorry, to bring back into the modern day in some variety. Xenogears was waiting there, in the wings, waiting for an upgrade, waiting for some love to happen to that title of old. Now, I don't know if anything will ever happen to it. For the game that was once pitched to be Final Fantasy VII, Xenogears is a game that has a massive cult following, but also is a game with plenty of its own issues that would probably need to be addressed if it would ever see mainline success in the modern day with a revisit. Would Square Enix now want to put in all those resources and view it as a major release? Or could it have even been one of the games that are likely on the chopping block to make up his 22.1 billion yen abandonment loss? We don't know. They don't say what games got abandoned here. They don't say that. But for me personally, I'm far less optimistic at this point in time in regards to anything Xenogears happening. Because from the sounds of it, it sounds as if Square Enix is just going to focus in and focus up on these bigger AAA games and pull the plug on a lot of these smaller RPGs that they have been kind of known for the last few years. I know Kingdom Hearts 3 was a little bit controversial, but hey, who knows, maybe they can pull it around for Kingdom Hearts 4. Maybe they can pull a cat out of the hat in regards to Dragon Quest 12 and make an absolute banger game. Who knows, but I tend to view a lot of Square Enix's recent problems that they've been having to be largely self-inflicted. Either Square Enix drops a lot of games that are just kind of head-scratching in terms of why'd you even make this, like Forspoken, or they keep hip-hopping on whether or not they want to be a console exclusive with Final Fantasy releasing on Xbox and PlayStation, and then 16 and Remake being PlayStation timed exclusives. Upping the price of your games to $70, that's a lot of money. I don't want to hear about the inflation argument. That's still a lot of money to a lot of people, and you will lose sales because of it. Games ain't cheap nowadays. But when a lot of games go on sale constantly, most people would rather just wait. Because why not? It's far better to be a smart consumer than just waste a bunch of money on a game you may or may not like. On a platform that you may or may not even have to begin with. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Like, Square Enix normally puts out games that I find enjoyable. I think Visions of Mana looks really good. I kind of want to try it out, but I haven't decided yet. I love Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and Final Fantasy XVI. I love Dragon Quest XI. I haven't finished that one, but I got like over halfway through it, and I love the game. I think Square Enix manages to put out a lot of great games. It's just they never put them in positions to really shine. And all the while, sometimes they'll change the direction of an established franchise and lose some people because of that and try and have to regain a new audience, but they don't put themselves in a apt position to really attract a new audience. Whether it's by limiting the platforms that their games come out on or make them $70 and stuff like that. Especially when a lot of them look really similar to one another. It goes back to what I said. Square Enix largely does not put their games in a position to do really well. I mean, time will tell, right? We have to see what the next couple of games from Square Enix look like and whether or not they're even higher quality than they already are. Or if all this means is that they're learning the wrong lessons. You know, Square Enix is one of those baffling companies nowadays because they can put out some absolute bangers and then just have these moments and times where you scratch your head and go, why did you do that? But leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on the whole Square Enix situation going on right now. Do you like the new direction? Do you not like the new direction that they're talking about going in terms of, quote, being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources, which just screams to me focusing in on those AAA games? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.